Okay, it's 4:20. Hello, everyone. I'll give a minute. So I've been told, as a presenter, you never start off your presentation with an apology, right? Like it sets the wrong tone. So what I do instead is I bribe everybody with stickers. So after my talk, I have stickers here. GitHub, the classic Octocat, the Phoenix, the Samurai, and photographer and skateboarder. Unfortunately, they were organized earlier today, but they're not so much now. But feel free to come up afterwards, ask a question, take stickers, whatever it may be. So, hello. There we go. So glad to be here in London. This is my third time in London in the span of a year. I have to ask you, and feel free to tell me the truth. The name GitHub, it sounds funny to you, doesn't it, being here in the UK, right? Why would you want to use a website where all the Gits gather? Oh, I got to turn this on. Is this working? See, it's not that type of hub. So now on to the matter at hand. Today I want to talk about GitHub beyond the browser. So when you use GitHub, you often spend a lot of time here in the browser, browsing issues, looking at profiles, raging about the semicolons or the lack thereof in issue comments. But that's when the code is already hosted up in the cloud on github.com. But before it's hosted, when the code is on your machine, you spend a lot of time with Git. And again, I don't mean an unpleasant person, though that depends on where you work. What I mean is that you spend a lot of time on the command line. So an alternative title for this talk could be GitHub Beyond the Command Line. How many of you here are really strong with Git, the command line? Show of hands. OK, we have quite a few. How many of you struggle with it? And be honest. OK, also quite a few. How does one Git anyways? Well, XKCD has the answer, right? I'll just read this. This is Git. It tracks collaborative work on projects through a beautiful distributed graph theory tree model. Cool. How do we use it? No idea. Just memorize these shell commands and type them to sync up. If you get errors, save your work elsewhere, delete the project, and download a fresh copy. This is an apt description, actually, of how a lot of people work with Git, right? If you ever go to a new shop and they're just trying to get into Git, just memorize these commands. Don't worry about it, right? In this talk, I want to cover the work that my teams do to help make Git and GitHub more approachable, so that hopefully you don't have to resort to this. We build tools that slot in to the way that you work with Git and software. In some cases, these tools make it so that you don't really need to use Git, the command line, that you can just use our tools. But for most people, they're nice complements to the command line. They work in tandem with it. Sometimes you might need to drop to the command line, but ideally, you'd use these tools if they fit your workflow, your work style. After all, I personally love using Git, warts and all. But first, a little about me. My name is Phil Haack. And I know what you're thinking. What a great name for a software developer. Phil. I'm on Twitter, and I keep a blog. And I got my first computer when I was 5 or 6. And as you can see, I look pretty old for my age back then. But I've been in love with computers ever since, and I love sharing my love for computers. And hope that everyone could have the same opportunity that I've had and that I continue to have with computers. And I also recently learned from 23andMe, it's the DNA testing, that I'm actually 16% British. So that may explain my love of football, or what we would call soccer, and my wonderful British accent. So anyways, I run a group. I'm a director of engineering at GitHub. I run a group called Client Apps, and this is almost basically anything that's not github.com, the website, right? So this includes Atom, Desktop, Electron, and editor tools. All of these projects are open source. In case you've been under a rock or we've done a poor job of marketing, Atom is a text editor. It's a while ago we announced Teletype as a new addition to that I'll show off later. We have desktop. So desktop is a cross-platform Git and GitHub GUI, and it's the next generation of our pre-existing clients. So if you've been using GitHub clients for a while, we used to have this GitHub for Mac, GitHub for Windows. So now we have there were separate clients written in 2 different code bases. Now we have everything on a single code base because of Electron. So Electron is a platform that lets you use web technologies, so CSS, HTML, JavaScript, Node, Chromium, to build cross-platform desktop applications. And coincidentally, Atom and Desktop are built on Electron, or not so coincidentally. We're not the only ones building on it. You may have heard of other companies such as Slack, Microsoft, and even Jay-Z's Tidal. I like to imagine Jay-Z and Beyonce pair programming on their Electron app. So I was pretty excited when I heard that Tidal was actually built using Electron. It's pretty cool. And then Editor Tools is a team that builds extensions to IDEs such as the GitHub for Visual Studio and the GitHub for Unity plugin. And this is kind of our mission. Here's what we believe. We believe that in order to be the place where developers build software, we should be everywhere developers build software. And so, our mission is to extend GitHub to wherever you're writing your software, like whatever tools you may be using. We don't want to wait for you to push everything up into the cloud and then help you out. We'd like to help you as early as possible in the cycle of writing code and building software. We want to make it more approachable. We want to make it more productive. And we want to fit the way that you work. We believe that GitHub is so much more than just the browser and the command line. So to demonstrate this point, I've concocted this scenario. It's a little story that should feel somewhat familiar. We have a software team named TBD, and that's the actual team name. They're building a to-do app, right? Like it's the classic example because I'm not very creative. And like many opinionated developers, they hate everything out there, right? They know the right way to build a to-do app. Everything else is wrong. So like a typical software company. This app requires a back-end service and a front-end client. And they're going to require that developers, testers, documentation writers, graphic designers, lawyers, all of them work together on GitHub. And this is where we're going to begin the story. So we have sort of 4 characters. Oh, actually, I made a mistake. So we're going to have to scratch Gabriella for time. Sorry, Gabriella. We have Frederick, the front-end developer, Beatrice, the back-end developer, and Don, the designer. And so as I go through the story, I'm kind of telling the story of these different characters, so I will change personas and kind of go through these demos. So let's start there. I have to switch. I'll exit presenter mode once I remember. I always forget how to do this. Is it escape? Anyone know how to get out of presenter mode? Maybe I just, oh no. I'll do it the old-fashioned way, just close it. All right, great. So one of the things I want to do is I'm trying to model like how you might actually, a real team might actually build a software project, right? So I'll use one of these new features called project boards on GitHub. And so we have repo-level project boards, but we also have org-level project boards. So I'll go ahead and create a new project. We'll call this NDC London To-Do App. It's a demo. And one of the cool things, I don't know how many of you have seen the project board feature? Or how many of you not seen it? OK, a lot of hands up. So it's a relatively new feature, and what's really nice is we have these templates now, so you can see like none, Kanban basic, and Kanban automated. So Kanban is a Japanese word. It means literally a signboard, right? Like it's where you would keep track of the status of things and the flow of work on a signboard. And we've taken that, a lot of companies have taken that physical model and moved it into software. So I'll do this automated one and create this project. And what it does is it creates a pretty typical Kanban board. It starts you off with some initial welcome guide, how to use it. But what's really cool is you'll notice down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see this, automated is to do, automated is in progress, automated is done. And so as you create issues, move them into these boards, and then start closing these issues, we'll actually track these things and start moving them through the columns for you. I'm going to remove these built-in ones, excuse me. And then we can actually take some of these and drag these into the board. So this is some of the tasks that I need to do. The design needs freshening up. We'll want to change the port to 5000. These are some of the to-do items. And we'll kind of track my progress to this talk by using this board. One cool feature, though, is one of the apps we're going to be working on is this to-do app. And we already have a project board here, the to-do client project. And we have some tasks already here. But one of the things I can do is, if I want to have cross-repo project boards, I can create a card here and just type in the URL of another project board and hit Add Card. Oop. And you can see that it already did it. And that purple bar, that represents progress through that other project board. So I can kind of keep track of multiple projects within a single project by just adding cards that link to those project boards. And there's also keyboard shortcuts for navigating. So if you hit the question mark, we bring up the keyboard shortcuts. You can kind of navigate the cards and all that. I don't have those memorized very well yet. I haven't been using these project boards a whole lot yet because they're pretty new to GitHub. So let's start with the to-do app. This is an Electron project. And we're going to start with Don the designer. So I'm Don, and I've been asked to review a PR that updates some CSS. So let's go to this app. So typical thing, let's see what PRs are here. Oh, there's one called Design Changes for Don. Oops. Let's go back. It says, we got a pointy-haired boss here who says, I bring the styles. Hey, Don, I'm not a designer, but I figured, how hard could it be? Here's my suggestions for sprucing up the app. OK, well, let's run this app and see what it looks like today. So I forgot to open this up. We're going to run OK, so we're going to run npm start and just take a look at the app before we've taken any changes from anybody. OK, pretty straightforward looking app. It's nothing pretty. Got some failures going on. We've got some work to do here, right? So I'll close this out, and I've got this PR, and I want to take a look at this PR, right? I could click in here and look at this code. Oh, this is going to be weird, and try to figure out. I could try to reason about, is this the right CSS? But when I'm looking at that, I can't visualize what does that look like in the running app. One nice thing, one of the ways that I said earlier that we want to bridge the gap between sort of your workspace and GitHub.com, we have this nice feature here, like you can see it here, where you can open a pull request right in GitHub Desktop. So when I click that, what that's going to do is launch a URL protocol handler, which is GitHub Desktop, and it's going to clone that locally. Oh, wait, I actually didn't. I already have it cloned. I didn't want to do that. So let me. So GitHub dot. So and also, if I'm in a repo and it's not yet being tracked by GitHub Desktop, I can run GitHub dot for the current path to the repo. And now I can add this repository. So now it's being tracked by the app. So if I click this, open in GitHub Desktop, you'll see there what it did is it launched the URL protocol handler. This is a way for a browser to launch an application on your machine if your app has registered for this protocol. And so what GitHub Desktop did is it got this information from that URL that I clicked, which has a special protocol, and it changed the branch to the PR branch. So I did a pull, changed the branch to the PR branch. So now I have that branch checked out locally. So with one click, I can now take a look at this PR. So just by running the app, we'll run npm start. And did that not work? Oh, so it looks like I may be in a wrong directory. Okay. All right, so I made a mistake there, but what would have happened is this. Now I'm in that PR branch, and it says, oh no, this is a really ugly design. What do I do about this? Well, as Don designer, I'm going to try to fix this design up and help my boss out. Let me do something real quick. Let me remove this from here to make sure we're in the right place. Otherwise, this will be really bad. Oh, this is the last. I see what happened. So I've done this demo before, and I had changed directories. So if I do this again, okay, we should be in the right place. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is create a new branch, right, for my design fixes. And one way I can do that is go into the branch menu, new branch. And one nice thing is here, typically you're going to create a branch off the master branch, right, and do your work in a branch. I'm actually going to create it off the branch of this PR because I want to fix the changes from my boss here. And we'll create this branch, and we'll call it design fixes. Oops. So I'm creating a new branch based off that branch. Now, rather than have you watch me do a bunch of CSS typing, which would be really boring, and also I'd be very prone to error, we'll do the whole Julia Childs thing, where she pulls out the fully baked pie. And I actually have a set of batch scripts for doing this stuff. So I'll just run apply. Oop. Apply Don's changes. Oh, no. This crop patch file, that's not right. So this is where you get to watch me squirm really well. So what often happens, so one of the interesting things about working on Windows is that line endings are CR, LF, and on Linux, and what Git expects is just LF. So chances are that my line endings are messed up here, and I just needed to save this as that. And if I do this again, that looked like that actually worked. Let's check it out. So now I've got some changes. Whew. That is a relief. I'm missing a file. I don't know what that's about. I'm sure that's going to come bite me at some point, but we'll deal with that in a moment. Okay. So imagine that I'm Don. I just spent all day fixing up the CSS, and now I've got all these changes, and I want to commit them, right? Now, if you know Git in the command line, it's pretty easy to just git add -a, git commit, and you're done. But one of the nice things about Git is if you care about the history, you get rewarded down the line if you keep your history kind of clean. Like keep each commit, have your commits tell a story about how you got to the point where you are, right? Because there are commands like git bisect, which I won't get into, but things like that that depend on having a nice clean history and that are worth their weight in gold. I guess I'll tell you. So git bisect is basically a binary search through your history. So imagine you have a bug, and you're like, oh, what commit introduced this bug? So you type git bisect, you give it 2 commits. The one that is the last known good, so at some point in your history, you know that it wasn't broken then, and then the current commit where it is broken. And then what Git will do is it'll look at the history and it'll go right to the middle, check out that commit for you, and then you just tell it, is this good or bad? And then it'll keep doing that and does a binary search, and eventually you find the commit. If each of your commits kind of change one thing or are a logical grouping of changes, then Git bisect is amazing for doing that kind of stuff. You find bugs really quick. If you just take, oh, this is all the work I worked on today, I don't know, just jam it all into one commit, then that's not as useful for you. And it's also not as useful for people who come in and review your code. And so doing partial commits where you take all, I don't want to get out of the flow, so maybe I'm not committing while I'm doing this work, because I'm deep in the flow. But now at the end, I'm like, oh, well, I have all this work. How do I group these commits into logical units? Well, one nice thing is with desktop that I think this experience is actually better than the command line. I can check this style file and say, I'm just going to commit all the styles. So all of the styles. And we'll commit that. Well, that's pretty easy to do with the command line as well. But let's say I'm looking at main.jx, and I'm like, this was a logical change right there, that group. But not this, but maybe these two lines should not be in the commit, but these 4 lines. I'm just making this up here, right? But let's say this was a logical grouping of changes, fixing the header. So I can commit that, and what you notice there is that those lines of code that I didn't select are still there in the changes view. And so what you would call, in Git parlance, that's like git add -p. So I'm doing a partial commit. I'm saying, I just want these changes, but not those changes in this commit. And so GitHub Desktop makes it really easy to do that. And so for the sake of brevity, I'll just do this. I'll just commit the rest. But you can kind of see how that helps you keep your Git history clean. So now, I've done this work. I'm ready to create a pull request. So I can go to the branch menu and create a pull request. And desktop, helpfully alerts me, oh, you need to push this branch up to github.com, and then we can create a pull request. So I'll go ahead and publish that branch. And what it's going to do is it's going to push it, and then it's going to launch github.com into the pull request creation view. And so we can see here, if I click on, we can see all our changes down here that are in this commit. And I'll say design fixes. Hey, try this. Go ahead and create this pull request. And you know what I forgot to do is identify what issue is this fixing. This is going to fix issue number 14. Let's do it this way. So one nice thing, when you're doing commits, you can use this syntax like fixes number 14, the design needs some freshening up. Oh, I forgot we do the IntelliSense. We do the auto-completion for you. And what's going to happen, what's nice about doing that is when this PR is merged, it will actually go ahead and close that issue that you've referenced if you use the syntax. So either fixes or closes. There's a certain set of keywords that it works with. So when I merge this, if I go back to the project board, we can see that that issue, the design needs some freshening up, has now been moved from in progress to the done. And so we have a nice way of kind of keeping track of our work here. And one neat thing about desktop is because it's an Electron app, I can do something like view, toggle developer tools. And just like you would do in Google Chrome, I can now kind of see everything going on in the app. So I can mess around and I could play around with things like really just get in here. Here, let's see. So that says changes, and I can go in here, and nothing has changed. And you can actually play around with the internals of the app and see how we built the app and try different things with it, which is kind of a neat way of exploring an app, especially when you're developing the app, that you have these developer tools just built into the app itself that allow you to mess around with the console, all that stuff. So that's kind of a neat consequence of it being a Electron app. And the other thing is, I showed you earlier that we actually have a few command line options that we've included with the app. So you can clone from it, you can open a Git repository from it, and that's pretty useful as well. Because a scenario that I often run into is I'm working on a repo, because I do like the command line, I'll be working in the command line and realize, oh, I need to do like a big partial commit, and I don't want to do it from the command line because that's a pain, but I haven't tracked it. So you can do git, or even if I have tracked it, you can just do GitHub dot, and that'll open it right back to that repo. So if you're working in multiple repos, it's a nice way, another nice way to switch. The other way to switch would be, here, let me close this, is you can go in here, you can see all the different repos that I'm working on, and so on. Cool. Okay. So that's showing off GitHub Desktop. That's a tool that it's for developers, but it's also makes it more accessible for like designers and others as well. But now we're going to switch to Frederick, the front-end developer. And Frederick needs to make some changes, and Frederick uses Atom. So we'll open this project up with Atom. So use Atom dot to specify the path, and Atom will load up. Oh, there it goes. And one of the things that we've added to Atom is we've added Git and GitHub support. So if you hit Control-Shift-9, you can see the Git pane. And it's a little hard to see, but way down here, you can see the branch chooser here. So I'm going to, excuse me. Looks like I forgot to set up the branch here. Git checkout. Oh, wait, I should. Oh, I can create a new branch here. There it is. Hacked tries to code. OK. So we're going to go to Control-Shift-8, and we have a GitHub pane. So it says, no pull request could be found for the branch Hack tries to code on the repository to-do app. Well, that's not good. Let's go check out the pull request on the to-do app. Maybe I made a mistake here. So we have a pull request, and the branch is Hacked tries to code. Why is that not showing up? Yeah, it was supposed to match up, though. Git status. OK. Let's try this. Git CO master. I'll delete the branch. Let me do a pull. I may have forgotten to do a pull. And let's do a git checkout. OK, good. So that showed that now it's tracking the remote branch. So I made a mistake there in my setup. Sorry about that. Oh, I was not supposed to apologize, right? I have stickers here. All right. So let's try this again. Control-Shift-8. No pull request could be found. OK, so it says, I don't know why that's happening. I swear that I've tried this before, but let's try this. If I submit this, I'm in the right place, right? OK, great. So normally this all works more smoothly than I'm showing. I have a reputation for always having things go wrong when I'm demoing. But what normally happens is when I switch to that branch, it may well be because I hadn't done a pull earlier that it kind of got everything out of whack. But normally, what's kind of cool about Atom is, so I'm working in a branch, and it knows that there's a pull request associated with it. when I go to the GitHub pane, it'll show this pull request. And I can kind of, I can go in here and pull these changes using these little arrows, like here. So push and pull, that sort of thing. But right now, that's not working because I've messed something up, so I'm going to have to do some surgery here, which, let's see. I have these batch files that I use for resetting everything, and it's probably, I'll just do this manually, okay? Okay, there we go. So when I reset my demo, I must have made a mistake, or I've been having problems thinking coherently because I'm severely jet lagged. But going back to where we're at right now, so the idea is I've checked out this branch, and I'm one commit behind what's on the server, and hence you see that pull 1. But I'm also one commit ahead. So I've done some work locally that's not on the server. There's some work on the server that isn't yet on my local machine. And so, before I push my work up, I need to pull that work down and make sure that, I incorporate that, right? Just, normal Git stuff. So this is like a git pull command. So I'll do this pull. And, oh no, what happened? We have merge conflicts. So what do we do when we get merge conflicts? Well, according to XKCD, we just delete everything and retry it, right? But you know what? We don't have to do that because Atom gives us a nice way of managing merge conflicts. So I look at this, and when I double-click the diff view, I don't know what Adam's trying to tell me there, we get this nice user interface for figuring out merge conflicts. But if you've ever handled merge conflicts, sometimes they can get really gnarly, right? And you're trying to figure out like who changed what and what changes should I fix, and I want to be very careful. So like I'm looking at this, and I might be in a situation where I don't know what to do. Can someone help me fix these merge conflicts? Oh, really? Oh, great. So Jasmine's going to help me. So one thing we could do is we could work on this collaboratively by working in the same editor at the same time. And the way we do that is we use Teletype. So I'm going to zoom in down here at the bottom here. And you see this little like antenna? So this is the new feature in Atom called Teletype. And so I'll click that, and I can start sharing my workspace. So that generates this portal ID, and now I need to find a way to get that to you. So like I might Slack you or text you. In this case, since when I tried this earlier, WhatsApp was being a little bit flaky, I'm going to just give it to you via Twitter. I'll DM it. I'm not going to like post it live. We could do that if you want. That would be kind of funny. Let's see. When we first launched Teletype, somebody posted a portal ID on Hacker News, and we had at least at one point, I think, 60 people editing the same file at the same time, and it was handling it really great. One of the reasons, how do I send you? Oh, there it is, messages. One of the reasons it works great even with that many people is Teletype uses a technology called CRDTs, or context replicated data types. Actually, I think I got that wrong, but oh, sorry. I need to actually choose you, and then this Twitter interface. I tell you. All right, there we go. All right, Jasmine, you got that? So there's like, if you ever use Google Docs, it has the real-time collaborative editing as well, but they use something called operational transform. This is all like weird computer sciencey stuff. But operational transforms require sort of a central server to host all the work. CRDTs are really nice because they can work well in low latency environments. They can handle changes that come in out of order, and it's peer-to-peer. So what? Are you in here? Oh, okay. So we can see that she's in here, and we have a peer-to-peer connection. Now, if we happen to both be behind a firewall, then we would be going through a little service, a Teletype service that we host in order to establish this connection. But for most users, they're going to have a peer-to-peer connection. So I can ask Jasmine, can you help me resolve these conflicts? I think the first change is usually the right one. I can't remember anymore. Well, that's why you're here to help me. So she can be in here, fixing things up while I'm in here making comments. Please hurry up. And I can even add other files in here. So did that change it for you when I opened that file, or are you still in the old one? So because one cool thing you can do is when you click on a person, you see that little icon there, that little chain link icon? So now I'm following her. So do you see two files? Can you switch between them? Oh, you only see one? OK, I might have to. I wonder if I can add you to this one. So we do support two files, but I forgot. I don't know. I think I may have had to have it open when I initiated the session, and I didn't learn how you add a file to it. So we've got some kinks to work out. It's a beta. But what's really cool is sometimes rather than both of us working on the file at the same time, I actually want her to show me how to do something, right? I want her to teach me something. So if I click on her image, I'll start following her down the file. So go ahead and scroll down and up. Okay, so she's going to fix that for me. Really appreciate all your help here. So you see, no hands on my part. Okay, you got them all? Can you go back to the top? The very top, you scroll up and start typing up there? Okay, so you can see that Teletype is now following her around. Whatever she's doing is following her around. What's really cool is that we now support multi-files, so she could be working on the test while I'm working on the code that's making the test pass, that sort of thing. The team that builds Teletype actually uses Teletype every single day. They do a lot of pair programming using Teletype. So I'll go in here and accept all her changes. I think these look good to me. I hope they're right. Yeah, I don't know why my computer's so slow all of a sudden. So I have a Dell XPS, and one of the things that seems to happen is sometimes when I close it, it actually doesn't actually shut down. So when I took it out of my bag today, it was really hot. It had been the fan had it sounded like a jet engine had just been going. Okay, so now that I'm okay with that, I double-clicked the file to say, okay, I accept these changes and stage them, and now I can just commit this and be done with it. So the whole point of that part is to show we have this real-time collaborative editing. A lot of times people are like, I'm not really into this pair programming, but sometimes you just want someone to help you with something, and it's a real nice way of doing that. It's a pretty cool feature of Atom. Great. So let's, where am I? So I'm going to go ahead and, again, I have some changes to apply as well. Frederick's changes. Great. Okay, so I just made some changes, and I can click on this to see all the changes that I need to commit. And just like in desktop, I can do the partial commit thing as well, right? I can click in here, and I can select that, and I can right-click. Wait, what? I can right-click, and I can stage that selection. So now you can see here that I have a stage change of just that line that those lines I selected. I'll add message to NDC. I'll commit that. So the interface is slightly different from desktop, but it lets you do the same basic thing, do partial commits. With Atom, we actually model like the staging environment that we didn't do in desktop. In desktop, we kind of simplified it a little more. But with Atom, since we're targeting, we ostensibly more power users, we kind of didn't want to hide the details of Git staging environment. So I'll go ahead and commit this. And again, I can go down here, and I have 4 commits. I can push those up by clicking that. Now, we don't yet have a feature for creating a pull request right from Atom, so I'll have to navigate to the repo and do it. OK, great. So now that's done. I'll go back to let me just hit code there. Where's the branch? Haack tries the code. Oh, wait, we've already have a pull request for this, right? So I'll navigate to this pull request, and we can see, I have a lot of changes. And I'll go ahead and, oh, there's still conflicts in here. I'll just resolve those. I can resolve them from the browser. So I don't know what happened here, but we'll just go ahead and fix this up in the browser. So, all these tools kind of work together. So I'm doing my little song and dance here as I made a mistake somewhere again. But we can fix that. So I can mark it as resolved. So did you all know that we now allow merge conflict editing in GitHub as well? So I can do it in Atom, or I can do it right from github.com. And now I'm ready to merge this pull request. And we're done. Cool. So, do I dare run it and see what happens? OK. So we've got a problem here. Oh, oh, yeah, you know what? I need to go back to master. That's right. So the issue there is I had pushed that branch up, but I fixed it in the browser. I still don't have those changes locally. So since I merged it in master, looks like I still have problems, and it may be that I made a mistake with duplicate declaration title in. So yeah, I did a bad job of resolving the merge conflict. So we could fix that later. So anyone here use TypeScript? OK, a lot of hands. So we have another feature called Atom-IDE. So it's a separate Atom module. You can APM install Atom IDE. It's a little bit it's a little bit early and rough. I'm actually having troubles with showing it as well, so I won't show it today. One of the things we've been doing a lot of is working with Facebook to. They have an editor called Nuclide. It's like a React editor. And so it's built on top of Atom. It's actually built as an Atom package. And we're working with them to pull a lot of those features right into Atom proper. And that's been working out pretty well. And so we have a diagnostics window, outline window. But one of the things we're hoping to get into Atom pretty soon is a debugger. And so that'll be nice to have. We don't have that yet. But when it's ready, you'll probably get it through installing the Atom IDE package. All right. So let's change gears. We're going to switch to Beatrice, the backend developer. So I have this to-do API. And this is a, oh, what's changed here? Oh, OK. So this is a ASP.NET Core application that is going to be the backend web API for this to-do app. So I'll open Visual Studio. And our friend Jasmine over there worked on this when she was at GitHub. She's no longer with us. And so one of the cool things here is I can go into To-Do API, and I can authenticate to GitHub. I've already authenticated to GitHub. And you can see we have this GitHub pane here, and I can actually list pull requests associated with the project that I'm working on. And so I'm going to view this list of PRs, and I see this one here, like change the port. So I'll click on that. And let's zoom in a little bit so you can see. OK, we've got this pull request. I can kind of look at this pull request. And notice here, I can see what's changed in this pull request. So I'm going to click on this. It's like, oh, there's a comment here. What is this about? And you can see here that we have this comment. I can see the diff from this pull request right from Visual Studio. I don't have to leave Visual Studio. And we can see that there's this comment that says, I prefer odd numbers. Do you think we should keep this as an odd port number? No, that's silly. I'll hit this comment. And so it's a nice way for me to run through you can see the beginning of a workflow where I can do code review right from here. If I go up to the website, pull requests. And you can see my comment right there. No, that's silly. So one of the things we're working on is we want to make it so that for a lot of the common type of operation that you do, you don't have to switch to the browser, switch back to the repo. If you want to make a PR comment, naturally, with a PR, you may want to try the code locally, and you can make comments. One cool experimental feature we have that we hope to ship at some point is, this is the diff view. But if you imagine that if I'm actually working on this file, we'll actually start to show in the gutter that there's comments on the file if you're in a branch that's associated with the PR and there's a comment on that. And then you could, right from your editor, you could see the comment and edit. We have an experimental branch. We're still working on that. The experience is actually kind of tricky to get right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply some changes, again, using the Julia Childs method. Patch does not apply. Oh. Again, we need to fix the line endings. I really just wish Windows would just get rid of the CR. I don't think it's really needed anymore. OK, so we applied this change. I can go in, imagine I'm doing this work in here. I can go into Team Explorer. And you can see, it's a little hard to see, but you can see here that we recognize this as a GitHub repo. I can click here on changes, and I can look at what's changed by clicking that, or double-clicking it. I can see the change I've made, and then I can create a commit. So this changes view is actually already built. It's built into Visual Studio. This isn't part of the GitHub module. I'm just kind of showing how the whole workflow works. I fixed it. And commit all. And then I can click here to sync. And we'll. So sync is basically pushing it and then pulling any changes that might be up there. So it's kind of an abstraction around git push, then git pull. So I went ahead and already pushed the updates to the branch. And we can kind of see, if I switch to the commits, change. Oh, did I do this? Oh, I'm in the wrong branch. OK. Let's forget that. Oh, wait. OK, I'm not sure what happened there. All right. And there you have it. To-do app is done. It's a little rough, but it's like a typical software project. One of the nice things about all these projects, everything I've shown you is open source. So if you go to these repos, you can see the source code for Atom or Electron desktop editor tools. Atom and Electron in particular have very large, vibrant communities. As I mentioned before, Facebook contributes to Atom. They built their own editor on it. Electron forms the basis of VS Code, so Microsoft works with us closely on it. Slack works with us. They have a lot of full-time folks contributing Electron. The Teletype, so Teletype is now is in beta, and you can install it by running apm install Teletype, and that's the real-time collaborative tool. And Teletype is also open source. And we've divvied it up into these 4 components. So if you're interested in the full package, that's Teletype. The CRDT library, which doesn't depend on Atom. It's just it's the base CRDT library that could be used in anything. Our goal is to get other editors to use the Teletype protocol so that we could get real-time collaborative editing, let's say across from Atom to Visual Studio to IntelliJ, whoever's interested in working with us on making this somewhat a standard. Now, interesting bit of news, the day we announced Teletype, Microsoft announced VS Live Share. And so that's their real-time collaborative editing. I had no idea they were doing that on the same day we were doing it. We didn't really know that they were working on a similar thing. Unfortunately, they chose a different technology. They chose operational transform. So we're working with them to kind of figure out, is there a way that we can interoperate? Because we would really like to have someone be able to work from Atom and Visual Studio and have that collaborative editing work. And we also have our server and our client as open source libraries. So in the end, we hope these tools make your own workflows better. And if there are ways that we can make your life even better when working with GitHub, please let me know. Thank you very much.